Happy Wednesday. It's time for another experiment. But today, I don't just have one experiment. I don't have just two experiments. I have 3 different experiments. I know, so many, how crazy. But they all have something in common. Today, they all involve food. I know, who doesn't love food? There's one small problem, guys, though. Whoops, we don't get to eat the food, okay? These experiments, we're not touching it because it's gonna make the food yucky if we try and eat them, and I don't want anyone tasting yucky stuff, so we're not eating any of it. This is the one time we get to play with our food, though, okay? So, should we see what my experiments are? Let's take a look at my first experiment. So the first experiment, I have 2 cups of clear liquid. One of them has water, one has vinegar. Now, I don't know, I've got some labels, but I don't know if I got them in the right spot. The way I tell, I use my nose. Water doesn't have a smell, but vinegar has a really strong smell. So let's see if I got them in the right place. Let's see. I don't smell anything, so that's gotta be water, and, ooh, whoa, yep, that's strong. That's vinegar, Okay, so I've got my labels in the right spot. Now, in this cup, I have 4 jelly beans. 2 are red and 2 are purple. And I'm gonna put one of each color in both, in my water and in my vinegar, so that way we can see what's gonna happen to it, okay? So let's see, I'll start with my purple. 1 in the water and 1 in the vinegar. And here's my red, 1 in the water and 1 in the vinegar. Okay, so I'm gonna start my timer because this needs some time to sit and relax and see, so we can see what's gonna happen. So while that's starting, let's go see what's gonna happen in our second experiment. Okay, our second experiment also uses some jelly beans. It uses some water. It uses vinegar, but we're not gonna put them in just like that. It's gonna be a little silly. So I've got my 2 cups of clear liquid. How do I remember which is which? I use my nose. Let's see. No odor? Woo, strong odor. Strong odor means that's vinegar. Okay, so I've got my labels down here. So my water's here, my vinegar's here, and I'm using 2 types of jelly beans. They're both from Starburst, and this one's the regular ones. Whoop, so they're a little bit darker. And this one's the Duos, so they're supposed to have 2 flavors, and these are a little bit lighter. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my regular Starburst on the right side of the plate for both of them, or bowl, and then I'm gonna use the Duos for the left side, and then we'll come back and see what's gonna happen. But first, I need to take a little bit of time to put them in, so give me a little bit. Okay, so I've lined the outside of my, oops, there we go, the outside of my bowls with the jelly beans. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour my vinegar and water into the middle of my bowl, and I want it just enough so it's gonna be touching the bottoms of the jelly beans, not covering them. Now, you should try and put them both at the same time, but I'm not good at that, so I'm gonna do one at a time, okay? So here's the vinegar. Oopsies. Ooh, there we go. There's my vinegar. And here's gonna be my water. Okay. So those are set, and those also take, I'm gonna add just a splash more, there we go. Those are set, those are gonna take a little bit of time to check in on them too, but let's take a look back at our first experiment and see what we can see. It's already been about 3 minutes, and look at this, you can see the colors coming off of them. There's a lot more color coming off the purple one in my vinegar. I'm gonna see if I can turn it so you guys can see that. But in my water, there's a lot more of the red. That's kind of interesting. I wonder what's gonna happen after. Well, let's let it sit for a little bit longer and give that a little bit more time. So now it's time for experiment number 3. This time, it doesn't use jelly beans. This time, we're gonna use milk, dish soap, and food coloring. I know, odd combinations, but it's gonna work. So what you're gonna need is you're gonna need a little bowl, and I'm gonna pour some milk into my bowl. Okay. Ooh, there we go. There's some milk. Put that over here for the time being. And now I'm gonna use some food coloring. Now my bowl's on the smaller side, and I know I can use 3 drops of each color. So I want you guys to help me figure out how many drops I'm putting in, okay? Ready? 1, oops, 2, there we go, and 3. There's my 3 drops of blue. Now it's time for yellow. You guys ready to help me count? 1, 2, 3. There's 3 yellow. Now for red. You ready? 1, 2, 3. And then my green, my last food coloring. Ready? 1, 2, 3. You can put them in any order you want. You can put them anywhere you want. You just want to make sure you leave some space out for the milk to show through. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take a Q-tip or a cotton ball. I'm dipping it into some dish soap. I only want a little. And then I'm going to swirl off some of the edges so it's not too much. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Q-tip and put it straight in the middle. Let's see what happens. Whoa. Look at all those colors moving away from it. It looks like a pretty flower. How cool is that? The dish soap is pushing the milk and the food coloring away from each other and away from the dish soap. It doesn't want to be near the dish soap. So you can leave that in for a little bit. And then when you're done, if you said, oh, that's pretty enough, you can take out your Q-tip. And I'm putting it on a paper towel just so it doesn't get messy everywhere. Or you can just throw it straight away. And you can let that sit for a little bit and just see how it's still reacting. It's still wanting to get away from the soap. That's kind of interesting. And all the colors are pushing through. Well, let's take a look back at experiment number 2. Whoa, look at how the colors have swirled already. Looks like you have more colors showing through in your water than in the vinegar. But you can see a lot more of the pretty colors from the darker colors and the lighter colors in the vinegar. That's kind of cool. I wonder if they're going to touch in the middle. I don't know. Let's check back on experiment number 1. Wow. It looks like in the vinegar, the red one, let me see if I can turn it so I can show you guys a little bit better, is becoming more white, and the purple one staying kind of purple despite all the color that comes off of it. And it's not the same in my water. In my water, more of the purple's coming off, and the red's cut some off too. That's kind of cool. I'm glad I'm kind of doing these experiments with you guys. They're kind of fun. Let's go back to our milk experiment though, because I want to show you guys something else. Okay, so what you can do is you can get another Q-tip, or use the other side, dip it into your dish soap again, and you can put it in different areas, and you can just, oopsies, that didn't quite work. Put it in and hold, and watch it swirl. Ooh, it kind of reminds me of a sunset almost, with all the, maybe on the beach with the blue and green. It's kind of cool. You can see how many different times you can maybe push it in and hold. So the second time it didn't work so much over here. And so maybe that's all I can do is maybe one time of holding it in there, or maybe I do it 2 times over there, but oh, it's still reacting a little bit over on the other side and in the middle. And you can always use the other end to dip in if you're being careful, and you can put in more colors. Oh man, that one didn't want to work as much. Let's try another one. See if that might help. So maybe this one's done. Hopefully it's not. Oh, well, you can always add more milk, and you can always add more food coloring. So we can try that. Let's try adding a little bit more milk. See what happens. Whoa, the colors are definitely swirling now. Woo, making more of a muddied color, but that's okay. And we can see, because this is an experiment, so it's a test, we can test with more. So I'm going to put a lot more soap on my Q-tip, and we'll put it in. Let's see what happens. I think that's it. I think it doesn't want to react much anymore. Well, that was pretty fun and pretty cool. So, I guess we're done with our milk experiment, and that's okay. I learned something new too, of maybe you can't really put more milk in. But oh, let's look at experiment number 2. Look, they're almost touching in the water, but they are touching in the vinegar. Wow, such beautiful colors. It really reminds me of a rainbow and of a beautiful sunset at the same time. What do you guys see in this? This is pretty cool. See, it's been about 9 minutes for our water and vinegar with our 2 jelly beans sunk in there. Doesn't look like too much has changed since the last time we looked, but that's okay. You know what? I think it's time we try and take them out and just see what the difference is. So I'm going to get a spoon and get them out. Be very careful. And I've got I'm gonna put them on my paper towel. I've got the paper towels labeled so that way I can see which is which. Ooh. There's my, oopsie, a little bit too much vinegar on that one. And then I'm gonna get my water out. Wow, there's a lot of stuff floating inside the cups from the outside of the jelly beans. Wonder if that's the sugar or if it's something else. Oh. And there's my water. Huh. It looks like my jelly beans a little bit smaller on the purple in the water than my vinegar. But it looks like the vinegar took much more of the red than the water did. But the water took much more of the purple than the vinegar did. Wow, that's kind of crazy. So let's see what happens if we put them back in and see if we can get more of a reaction, okay? And there's enough color on the thing. Let's see. Ooh, my waters have definitely changed colors now. My vinegar is much more purple and my water is much more red. It's kind of interesting. That's opposite of what we saw in our experiment earlier. Okay, friends, I took a 5-minute break just to see what would happen if I let them sit for another 5 more minutes. And let's take a peek at what happened. I already pulled them out. So let's take a look. Now, in the black one, it's still got a little bit, or the purple one, it's still got a little bit of that shell still on part of it. But the red one has all the shell, almost all the shell pulled off, but it still looks a little red. But let's look at the water. In the water, it looked almost white. And the purple one, you can pretty much see right through because there's that little bit of shell left on it. You can almost see all the way through. That's pretty cool. Who would have thought that vinegar and water would make that happen to jelly beans? Not me. Did you? Let's take a look at what happened to our bowls. Now, I took out a couple of them already because I saw something that was kind of interesting that I couldn't show you really well in the bowls. If you look here, especially at this little green one, because it only touched half of the jelly bean, half of the shell still stayed on. And that was in the vinegar. But let's see how it looks in the water. Look, you can see it on the pink one too. Because it only touched half the jelly bean, half of that shell is still staying on. So that's the difference of what happens if we put them completely in the water, like we did over in vinegar, like we did over in experiment 1, and if we only put it in half of it, like in experiment 2. Well, that was a lot of fun doing all those experiments, don't you think? I'm glad I got to play with the food this time, but I know I can't play with food every time because I don't want to make a mess and I don't want to get in trouble with my mom or dad or get you guys in trouble with your moms and dads, okay? So this is the only time we're playing with food. Deal? Okay. I hope you had a lot of fun with these experiments. What will tomorrow bring? I don't know, but I'm excited to see. Until next time, may God bless you and your families. Bye.